Every time we hit record, I want to be like, and we're live, back at it
We're
again.
live.
What's going on, guys? Back at it again.
We're talking TikTok. What have you noticed about TikTok, Curtis?
So, so Gary told me to be on TikTok. I gotta post 3 TikToks a day minimum if I want to go hang out with him. But also, it's just good like practice to be on TikTok because TikTok right now is hitting
booming.
scale.
It's booming.
Obviously, us millennials are slow to get on it. But I don't know, going back to like the types of content that you experience on every platform.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, Instagram is very like visually
More
stimulating.
catered and visually stimulating.
Twitter is just like thoughts.
Yeah.
But TikTok is kind of like, it's not visually stimulating in the Instagram sense. I feel like it's more like it's almost closer to YouTube.
It's like, can I get your
little
attention
bit.
in this?
Yeah, and like a
short
small, but it's like YouTube, but like 15 seconds only. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense.
15 to a minute. It depends.
Yeah, but like the ones that are a minute usually aren't as successful.
No.
Like in my opinion, right? Like usually it's 15 seconds.
It depends.
Of like,
I've seen skits that are
it's like Vine.
weird, but yeah.
You know what I mean? It reminds me of like Vine, of like a quick little thing, and then obviously that lends itself a little bit more to these trends.
Yeah.
Of like. So you get there's so many things to talk about, but
Mm-hmm.
so one big thing with TikTok obviously is the music, or the sounds, which is always, it's not always music, but it's usually some sort of music-y type thing. Not always, but
dancing,
like sometimes it's just some guy laughing, and you want to reuse the one laughing so you can search by sound or song.
By song, and then you'll see the ones that are trending, and there's like a lot of different. Videos.
Yeah, and so you can scroll through all the videos that have used that sound.
Mm-hmm.
So the other one's like do 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 do.
Oh yeah.
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 That one, or what's another one? Or like
I'm a savage.
Classy, bougie. I don't know the last one.
Ratchet.
Yeah. There you go. So that one's used a lot, obviously. So you
Carol
can
Baskin.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. Or the Blinding Lights Weekend song.
And so this is also why like it's a good idea. Obviously, like this is why I know Gary really pushes it, especially on like people that are in that type of industry, as in music production or dancing or something.
Yeah.
Is because like people will use sounds and you can like. It can be viral if people reuse that sound over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you post the thing and you post with your personal sound, I think people can reuse that sound.
They can, yeah.
And
I've looked it up and saved some.
Exactly. So I mean, like if you have a song or something and you put it up there with your TikTok and it works within the platform, and that's actually a pretty important point. People can reuse that song for their own TikToks.
Yeah.
And so that's one way to get your song a little bit more exposure is like by having a song that might fit with like, for example, there's that one that's like, remember that one I did with like there's a boxing one that's going around?
Yeah.
Where it's like doot, 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 and then every time you do, you're trying to match the rhythm of the song. So that fits in the sense of like, TikTok is one of those like, visual stuff you're doing in a video that matches the sound. So that's like the general like where TikTok is now has started, but there's also a lot of other ways that people are using it really flexibly, I think, in terms of you can just use, and this what's funny is what Gary does is he'll just throw on a trending song to like a video he might post on Instagram. That's one.
Yeah.
But he also uses like TikTok which I'll get into, actually I might as well talk about now. TikTok's actually really flexible as a video editor as well. So it lets you add text. It lets you, so I don't know why no other fucking app does this where it's
made it as easy.
It's so easy to do in terms of like you can record a clip, stop recording a clip, and then record another clip.
And then you can go to those individual clips and make them as long as you want.
Yeah, and you can edit each individual clip and it's one video.
Yeah.
Whereas like all the other video editing platforms, like they're not as easy to just make one clip into separate bits.
Yeah.
Right? So again, like I can record, stop, record.
Instagram really wants you to have everything ready ahead of time.
But I think it's because again, it
catered to that.
originally was going to just be like a picture.
For photography.
Like you just post like your photos and then they're pretty and then you can do a little bit of edit. Anyway, but TikTok has a lot of like video specific things like slow-mo and transitions. Like the transitions are fun and they're actually pretty easy to do too. Like the tools are pretty intuitive in my opinion. Like so for example, a lot of the editing happens when you watch the video. So you can watch the video, and then when you want to add an effect, you can hold the effect for as long as the video is playing.
Yeah.
Right. If you hold that effect for if you hold that effect for 1 second, it'll play that effect for 1 second, and then it has an undo button that's very quick. Like what I was gonna say was that like TikTok is actually a very intuitive and flexible platform in terms of like user experience.
There's still limitations, but it's as far as all social media goes, like it's the most intuitive.
Yeah, it's one of the most intuitive and flexible because here's another thing is that you can download any video from TikTok directly to your phone and it has a watermark, and you can also upload any video you want to TikTok to make a post. And it doesn't limit you to doing like things it obviously favors portrait style, but if you put in a landscape on it, it'll just go in landscape, and then obviously it'll be black on either side. But like, it doesn't limit you. Like I remember IGTV's like, oh, this isn't framed in portrait style, so you gotta change it to or whatever. It's not so you gotta change it to portrait style. They changed that now, obviously, but most platforms have certain limitations. Like Snapchat doesn't really like it when you upload stuff. Like you can, but they'll make it obvious that you uploaded it.
Yeah.
Whereas TikTok, again, like it's very flexible and the tools are actually pretty easy to use and they're pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
Like even Darren, our manager, was playing with it and he was having fun because it's like not that hard to do.
Yeah.
And then so when you're making content, I think, you don't have to stay within that like making a song thing. Like you don't have to dance because obviously it's popular to do the dancing, the pop and lock and whatever to time it with the rhythm of the song. Because I don't do that stuff, and I think if the platform is going to reach scale like Facebook or Instagram, like Instagram as just an example because it's a more recent one, is that it started with that like photography, and then now it's scaled. It has stories, it does long form video, you can add multiple photos to one post, you can do live streaming on it, like, and so if a platform reaches scale, I think it'll open up to all types of demographics, which will also open up to different types of content. And so like obviously Instagram is more visual based, like I said, but I put stuff on there where I'm literally just talking to which isn't, I don't think is it's very stimulating visually, me talking. Yeah. But I'm getting enough traffic on there of people liking it and paying attention because the platform is at scale now where everybody's on it. And so TikTok, I think, is the same way. Is like if you're going to get on a platform, even if it's not at scale, it's worth practicing your way of delivering content.
For sure.
And just putting out stuff that you want. And like, it's funny, I still think it's funny that Gary will just put on a video that like a keynote or something, like a clip, but he'll just throw on like a song with it so that it has more potential for reach. You know what I mean? Which is funny because it's not, some of them obviously are related, that they kind of seem like, but a lot of them are just like a keynote that aren't related at all, and there's just in the background he has a song, so that's kind of trending so that he can get the traction. But I think a lot of people are doing that too, is like, for example, a lot of people have that anxiety of like, I don't want to show my face on TikTok, and I don't want to, but a lot of people you can, especially thanks to like the text stuff that they do, which is easy to do, and the clipping, right? So like the easiest one, you're just like, oh, I woke up today, and you're just like looking in your bed at the ceiling, and then you go to the washroom, or like you go to the fridge and you're like, I was hungry, and then you look at the fridge, there's nothing in the fridge or something, and then you're just storytelling. You don't have to talk, you just put the word bubbles in there, and then you're just storytelling, and then you can slap a song on that kind of fits. And you can pick, the other thing is the library of songs is actually really good. Like they don't have every single song, but they have a lot of them. You'll find one that fits that mood or the feel of whatever your thing is, and you can just put it on, and you can change the volume of the audio in the clip versus the volume of the song you pick. So like it's a flexible platform, and I like it for that.
For sure. I feel like I can just like crap stuff out easier. Personally.
And that's the other thing is, it like Jen and I were talking about this.
The look of it.
Like I think it also lends itself a little bit more to that like ephemerality, but it's like it's playing with that, like it's only 15 seconds. So you're not gonna like, I don't know, it's not like it's not like a YouTube video where if you fuck up, people are gonna like kill you for it. Although I've noticed, here's my other experience with TikTok, is people right now are kind of savage. It reminds me of YouTube comments.
Yeah,
people are just like, dickish. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or like, what if I like this? Or like, this is wrong, and they just
do leave it this way.
Or like, it's funny because people, or like someone will leave a comment being like, you should do this. I'm like, dude, if you looked at my page, that's almost all I do. You just saw this one post where I'm not doing that.
You're judging it based off no context.
Yeah, like off literally 10 seconds. It's like, but so that's what I've noticed in terms of like commenting, is like I think it's also, this is just my theory, because it is a new platform. There'll be early adopters, and it becomes a little bit more niche in the sense of like almost like a Reddit thread, where that's where you get these like idiots, kind of saying stupid shit because it's still not super scaled. Whereas like over time, once it does hit scale, they'll be diluted by just everybody else, and the average person will be more normal. Whereas I feel like and this is totally a theory, I have no proof of this, but part of the reason why I'm getting such sometimes weird reactions, and most people are okay, but sometimes you can tell like you get them everywhere, but just on TikTok I've noticed a little bit more people just like brain farting the comments out, like that's not the and then that was it, like you didn't even watch the post, you're not like the. And you're like, what are you like, that was why did you need to say that? Or like, oh yeah, someone was like, look, I posted me and like the clip with me and Gary, and they're like, he was like, he didn't even spell it right, but he was like, young ones, Gary shouldn't be your idol, you should follow these people, and he gave a list of people that he thinks you should follow. And then you look at his profile and he has like 2 posts and like not that, which isn't like a factor of measurement, but it's just like, what do you think is happening here? Do you think someone's gonna like scroll down the comments like, oh, Gary shouldn't be my idol like this guy says. Oh. I should look at all these guys that he's talking about.
What have I been doing this whole time?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So you get a little bit of that, but I mean that happens with every platform, so it's not like,
Yeah.
What have you noticed with TikTok?
Yeah, I've noticed like I feel like it's starting to open up a bit more to less having to be music stuff. I still think music's a big part of it.
Yeah.
But like I'm noticing it's primarily like jokey. You know what I mean? Like I feel like 80% of TikTok is jokes.
I know what you're saying. Like it has to be,
and that's totally fine.
To me, it's like entertainment. Almost, because it's like short clips.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's hard to be, my opinion, it's hard to be educational in like a 15-second burst. Yeah. People do it, like you were doing it with drawing. Like a lot of people do it. Like how to na. And then step 1, step 2, step 3, and then in 15 seconds you taught someone how to like cut an orange or something.
Yeah.
Right. And you can do that. And I think there's, like
there's room for tons of experimentation.
Yeah, like there's one. I think I follow one like School for Cats, and they try to do like how to teach your cat how to something, and then like, step 1, you have to treat, and blah blah blah. Yeah. Right. So right now there is room for that, but I think like we're saying, like as you like, the reason why I advocate like putting out whatever stuff you feel like putting out rather than trying to like understand the platform too, like obviously you have to understand the platform to a certain extent. Like that TikTok, like literally by the name, is based around like music a little bit. And shorter clips, and you have to understand, like, again, Instagram favors more visually stimulating things. Once you understand that doesn't mean you have to follow that, but just be aware of that. Like me writing a 10-page paragraph, even though I do write a lot, on Instagram isn't like the most effective thing, or like me writing like a super long tweet might not be that digestible, because the psyche when you're on Twitter is like just small thoughts, not a book. Right. Exactly. And same thing with like TikTok is you're saying, like I think the mentality a little bit is more jokey, like just quick entertainment. Right, like
every time someone tells a story or is saying something in TikTok, I'm like, okay, where's the punchline? Yeah, where's the catch? And I'm actually taken aback when it's like, oh, this was a serious post. Okay. Like, like I see people in the comments too, like, I watched all that and I was waiting for the punchline, and it was just like a wholesome thing. And I was like, or this was just a sad, depressing video because of it.
But like I said, like if the platform does scale, I think again it'll open up rooms for all types of content.
Oh, for sure.
Potentially, like obviously, like the music stuff might hit best because that's native. But when it hits such scale, like the long tail or the slightly shorter tail, but like still long tail of your specific content can still reach, because everybody's on it. The same way Instagram is like, I'm not making the most visually stimulating content, but because everybody's on Instagram, there becomes a little bit more room for me to make the content that's not exactly native for the platform, but it'll still hit because there's enough people.
Some people are so clever with the way they use things. I'm just like, oh shit, like I wish I was thinking of things like that. But I like that I could just crap shit out, and like I could be my jokey shit that I do in Instagram stories, but I can do it for TikTok now. And stuff, and I can do art stuff, and I can do whatever
I almost do like the story stuff on Instagram that I used to do more on TikTok. And then just port it from TikTok to Instagram.
Yeah, that too. But there's, I don't know, there's so many different trends I see. Like, obviously, there's girls dancing still, and I'm seeing a push back on that more now.
I think people noticed, but I mean, the same thing with Instagram. It's like there's, thoughts on Instagram. Exactly. It's like, it's like Instagram thoughts, and there's TikTok. There's thoughts in every platform.
There's going to be, no doubt.
That's normal, though.
That is normal. Like, no, I'm just saying, I'm seeing that. I feel like TikTok started with that, and now it's being, people are being like, oh, okay, no, they're pretty girl shaking her ass, But I see trends like people will go in front of the mirror and they just say a funny joke, or they'll tell you a fact, or there's like, people doing the trending songs, and then they'll like do the same trending song, but then like there's a slight spin on the punchline, or a lot of prank videos. I see tons of pranks happening, or someone spent hours doing something in their house to make like some crazy, one comment, Goldberg machine,
like there's a lot of those trends of like, this took
a long time,
a bajillion tries.
So don't let this fail.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, is a lot of people like asking for things not to fail.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But I don't know. I don't know if we really want to talk about that much, because it doesn't really like
pertain to us as much. Yeah.
Like, unless you want to be one of those people that just follow the trends, but.
There's so much cat hair in my foot right now.
Yeah, there's lots of cat hair everywhere.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, obviously make what you want, but also like I think it's worth consuming content, just not as like it's like to get ideas, but not necessarily as consciously as that sounds, because that always sounds like, okay, they're doing this and they're getting a lot of views. Like,
so I should do this because it'll get me a lot of views.
Like by default, your brain might feel like that. It's like, that's something I could do, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I would just say might be better if you just consume the platform naturally, and then you'll find that like subconsciously you'll have an idea for something like that could be a TikTok. Same way of like tweets, like when I have thoughts that are just kind of funny, I'm like, that's a tweet, like that's a good tweet. If I just like it wasn't like, what's my next tweet gonna be, let's put these words together that sounds like a perfectly good tweet. It's more like I'm just sitting there, like I have a thought, I'm like, that goes on Twitter. I mean, that goes on Twitter, and like TikTok, if you're in the platform enough and scrolling and looking at stuff enough, it'll make like making content a lot easier, because you're on the platform. You've seen enough stuff that your subconscious mind is going to see something in real life or connect something and have some idea, and you're like, that would fit on TikTok. I should do that. Like, wouldn't it be funny? Like a meme, when people make memes, right? When it, like, especially the ones that are like me and then like, I don't know, girlfriend, like, the dialogue ones, me do this, girlfriend no, or something. Those are just, wasn't like creatively thinking about it. It was just like, that's what happens, and I know how to communicate that because I've been on the platform long enough.
Exactly.
And so, for people that are looking to get on TikTok,
they'll tell you formats and stuff.
Yeah, they're like intimidated by the platform. I would say like, you just consume a bunch of it, and like also don't use the excuse of like, there's cringy content on that, because
there's cringy shit on everything.
There's cringy fucking movies that are so bad, but there's also like the most amazing movies that will resonate with you forever.
Exactly.
And so like there's like
Netflix
TikTok
doesn't have all amazing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of cringy shit on Netflix, right? In the same way that like TikTok, obviously right now, the stuff that they're making that is trending might be cringy to you, but that doesn't mean that's
because there's teenagers, lots of teenagers.
Of course, yeah. But that doesn't mean like that's where the content's gonna end and you can't make your own stuff and you have to be cringy like them. You don't have to be cringy like them if you don't want to.
I would argue there's more big millennials on TikTok than there are teenagers.
I have no idea.
From what I follow and I see all the big ones, it seems like most of them are millennials. No, I'm overgeneralizing, but
it's true.
I think if you're not gonna jump on a new social media because you're afraid that there's like, oh, I'm too old and stuff, I think like that's bullshit, because people said this about Instagram back in the day, people said this about Facebook back in the day. I remember being in high school and it's like no parents were on Facebook yet.
Well, people like, still say it about the internet in general. Like there was a guy at work that was like he's like, do you guys have, he's like, what, I can't remember how he said it, but he was like, do you have like a cable or something back there or something? And I'm like, no. He's like, dude, if I were you, I'd just have my TV set up and I'd have like the cable line all the way and I'd just be sitting there chilling watching TV. And I'm like, I mean, you realize I have like a laptop and I could watch literally anything I want at any time.
Yeah.
With my laptop, and then he was just like, "Oh, I don't have internet." And I'm like, "That's cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with that." Like, and Gary said this funnily enough.
You don't have internet
In a post. Well, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's nothing wrong with like not having an email.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with not having a cell phone. I don't really care. Like, it's you do whatever you do, you right. But just when people like want to communicate with you, for example, and they're like, "Hey, I'll send you an email," and like, "I don't have an email." Like, don't be mad when like, you know what I mean?
When
like
that's what they're offering.
Like it's just something. It's just that's how people are communicating now, and it's like I think it goes back to like we mentioned.
You can't push against the times.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not gonna win.
But it's also like there's a reason why. Like it's just a form of communication.
Exactly.
And we were talking about this a little bit in relative to like our degree in communications. Is that when you're talking about like trying to like do something for your business, you're trying to build your business, you're trying to build your brand, you're trying to communicate to the world, you want something to happen. If you have any ambitions, then what's important isn't the platform. It's the message that's important.
Exactly.
Right? Like, what are you trying to say? And then now you just have to package it to fit on every platform. The same way that you'd have to package it to fit on the radio is like now you have to make it dialogue based because no one's seeing you visually. Yeah. So it's a very specific type of medium, the radio. And then if you're going to say the same thing and go on TV, you're going to have to do it differently because they're going to see you. Maybe you want to, I don't know, do something more physical. You're going to dress nicer because they're going to see you physically, visually.
Exactly.
And so like same thing is like you can say and do whatever shit you want. You just have to understand how the platform works a little bit. But there's room because it's a platform of communication. Like all these platforms are for communication. So there's a reason why they work, or like not work, but why they're popular. It's because people have found a natural way to communicate, right? Yeah. So you have to just find your own way to communicate using that platform. Like there's no like there's TV shows that are like reality TV shows, and then there's soap operas, and then there's documentaries, and then there's kids shows. And the same way that on TikTok you can make any type of content that you want, especially if the content's going to grow at scale and like, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I feel like don't be afraid of it. I'm trying to make my content the way I want to.
Yeah.
And it's good to be like earlier on it than later because like same thing with like a lot of these, you know, for example, when you think of YouTube, a lot of guys on YouTube, the reason why they're big is because they started early on it.
Yeah, YouTube's a fucking toxic place now.
Like, I think every place is toxic though. Like all platforms are toxic.
I mean, I think inherently the platform itself has become toxic.
Oh, you think so?
But that's a whole different. I think it's the least accessible social media now. One of them.
To make stuff, you mean?
Yes.
I can see that, but
because like everything gets flagged now. People are like,
I see what you're saying.
People are stuck in like certain ways of how they should think videos should be. You know?
But you know, like
the videos that actually get seen are not always like, you know, just the day-to-day stuff that you might want to post.
To that point, though, like I think a lot of people. So I'll tackle this in the last. This is probably the last thing we can talk about.
Okay.
A lot of people have that kind of skepticism and cynicism towards the platforms, and I get it, right? Like there's like I watched this video Bobby posted on Facebook that was really good about like YouTube tries to encourage you to make this type of content conversational. He's saying, rather than other types of content, but they're not saying like you have to. You're just creators. You make whatever you want and whatever, right? But like, you know, they might not help you monetize one, or they
That's the thing.
And like another one was like he was another point he was saying was like they encourage you to automate the ad placements so that the way they pitch it to you is like, oh, you don't have to think about it. It's easier for you and it's better for them because we can auto target what they like, and the experience is just better if you just whatever. Yeah. Which on the other side though, for their side, it's kind of like they get to choose whatever ad they want to put whenever they want.
Yeah.
Right. And so like obviously I understand the cynicism behind the platforms. The problem that like it's not a problem, but like on the other side, I just think that if you bring attention to certain things, like the platforms are usually flexible enough for you to at least get out. Obviously there's a lot of caveats of like it might be more like, for example, they might not put you on the fucking front page if you're talking about some shit that's not like they don't like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. So I get that, but I think there's enough flexibility for you to push out things if you do. Like you have to play the game a little bit.
There is. I just think their practices have become worse over the years. But I get it.
To that point, I think there's a lot of options outside of that.
Oh, for sure.
Like in terms of if you built your brand and reputation properly outside of YouTube, as an example, just an example.
I don't think you should solely
like,
ever.
You could build to the point where like your reputation, even if you were to say something slightly controversial or risky on YouTube, your reputation would be big enough that they know, like, no, he actually didn't mean it in an offensive way.
Yeah.
They know you well enough that, like, no, it's okay if he says it like that because he's just, that's the way he is. He doesn't mean what you think he might mean. This is totally an example that I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's like totally airy-fairy, but just, I think that is something that you can consider, especially in today's day and age where there are so many platforms and so much room to communicate on.
Yeah.
It'd be different if it was just YouTube only, no Twitter and no I don't know, Facebook and no TV anymore or something like that. Like there's only YouTube, and now we're privy to the rules and their encouragement, the subliminal encouragement that they have of what type of content you have. And I get that. Like every platform has their own thing. But I just think that there's enough space to maneuver and be flexible enough to do it. I think you can get a lot done. Like I think you get a lot done that you like more than you would expect done, despite those restrictions and stuff. Yeah. But again, I get the cynicism, but it's just, I think you can do a lot more than you think. And it'd be different, like, if I see people that complain about that stuff actually try to do it. Like, a lot of people complain about the cynicism of all the platforms and stuff. Yeah. But it's like, have you even tried? Like, it'd be different if you put up 1,000 videos and they blocked every single one. Yeah. Then I'd be like, okay, I can see you clearly tried.
I just see it from, like, the people I follow and respect, and then them even having issues. And it's like, yo, you've been doing this for 17 years, and they're actually...
I get that, yeah.
Knocking your dick in the dirt. Like, come on, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know... that's more of like a consumer standpoint, I guess, that I'm getting annoyed because these videos I want to watch, YouTube's not even letting.
Well, also like you're saying though, like for the creators that's difficult, right? Yeah. Because now they're like, YouTube pretends to be the you can make whatever you want,
but then it's introducing these new practices that are
it's like a lot of it because there's like public pushback.
That too.
Right, is like they're gonna be like, okay, well, everybody doesn't like the fact that this guy said this, and they think that we should take it down, so now we should probably take it down.
Affected our ad revenue, blah blah blah.
Yeah, right. So I mean, like, obviously that's a sticking point, but it's hard because it's like, what is YouTube now? Like, what do we consider it as? Like, is it?
I feel like YouTube used to be that, and now they want to become a Netflix kind of thing almost.
It's not really
not necessarily, but you know what I mean. Like they create that YouTube Red and all that channel shit, and they were trying to make their own TV shows.
A little bit,
and
but
I think that kind of fell.
I think it's like, again, because it's like a business.
Yeah.
Right. They're looking at like how to generate like revenue, obviously. Yeah. Right, and what's the most effective way to do that? Right, like that's why they, like, for example, they encourage longer form content, so they can fit more ads in for each piece of thing or something like that, right?
It bothers me they have a monopoly too. Like, why is no one else created a video service?
There are, but they're
just not.
But they're just like Vimeo.
Vimeo got bought out by YouTube.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh. But I'm sure there are more video services, but it is like they do want to be like the place.
They do, and it's owned by Google, so it's hard to fucking compete with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about TikTok. Sorry.
But again, like I guess
social
I see
media.
Like you can still. I feel like there's a lot I think you can do with YouTube still.
No, definitely. I don't want this to sound like I'm just complaining. You know, like.
But I see what you're saying. But I see what you're saying though, for sure.
I feel like it's feeling like less and less like an inclusive platform.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? I was like, they need to have like I'm sure there's some version of this maybe, but they need like a World Star, like like channel. I'm sure there's lots of them out there. I just don't know them.
Yeah,
but where there's just the stuff like totally unfiltered.
Yeah,
and then that way we can have a little bit of like YouTube where it's like a little bit more filtered, which it might already be like that. Mm-hmm. But I just thought that was like a funny idea, like just World Stars. Because I remember there was a few sites like that back in the day.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Where just like crazy shit, like people like just crazy, like
video
you get to see a car crash live type of shit.
I remember it was like funnyjunk.com was one. Like
Livewire.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, you should get on TikTok now while the game's good. And don't think you're too old because
you just make whatever
trying.
Just make whatever you want.
What, someone's gonna judge you? You care what other people think? Do you? You think about that? Because I'm judging you. Thanks for watching.